Hi guys. So today's topic is psychological space, and this is going to be a reading of John Wellwood's article. We're going to read it together. We're going to break it down piece by piece, and I'm going to explain the more difficult parts. So the first thing that you should know is that our topic is the relationship between mind and space. We are the creators of our worlds. So this is the first premises of this article. The notion of psychological space can potentially be of great value in helping us to understand the nature of consciousness and the ways in which we create our world. But what does it mean, we create our worlds? Didn't God create the world for us? Isn't it just there for us to be? Well, the idea is this. We are perceiving the world. Even if it is just out there for us, we perceive it, we filter it, we color the things, we give them meaning. And if we give them meaning, if I decide if something is right or wrong, it's pleasant or unpleasant, if it's green or red or far away or nearby, important to me, boring, I create my world. The emphasis here is on the word our. This is the thing that psychological space emphasizes, that we create our own worlds. We're going to talk about 4 types of spaces. First one is perceptual, which means it has to do with perception, how we perceive through our senses the environment around us. Second type is conceptual. This is how mathematics and physics construct the spaces around us, the relation between objects, and so on. The third type is the feeling space, the way we construct, design our emotional space. The fourth type of space is open space. Now this is a different kind of space. This is a little bit confusing. We're going to get there later. But just so you know where we're heading, this is what consciousness is. This is what we are. We are open space. What does it exactly mean? Well, first we have to talk about the first 3, and then we can revolutionize our concept of space. So let's start with the basic one, the most simple one, perceptual space. Perceptual space is the space out there that we can see and to a lesser extent feel in a tactical way with our bodies. Do you know it when you are in water and you feel the space around you? You know when you feel the air? And even without the breeze, even without water around us, we feel space. We feel our presence in something, right? This is the perceptual space. We feel things around us. Perceptual space is characterized by 3-dimensionality, juxtapositions, form and distances, and directionality. Forward, backward, up, down, left, right, under, around, and so on. Well, 3-dimensionality is easy, right? Look at this. Juxtapositions is the relation between objects which our mind is using to infer certain things, to complete the picture, to connect the dots, if you like. Take just a minute, look at this one. How many black dots can you see in this picture? Well, the thing is, there are no black dots. They are all white dots. But the thing is, because our mind is using juxtapositions, the relation between spaces, objects near to each other, our mind infers and imposes on the dots being black. It infers from the surroundings that they should be black. This is a juxtaposition. Another way to look at it is another way to perceive this idea, or to illustrate it, is to look at these balls. Which one is higher than the other, or which one relates to the other? It's all a game of shades here. Juxtaposition of the balls and the circles, the black circles, which our mind perceives as the shades, hence figuring that this one is higher than this one. And here they are all in the same platform, which is of course just an illusion. This illusion gives us directions, which one is up, down, closer, and so on. So this was perceptual space, how we perceive space through our senses. I'm gonna go back there just in a minute. Next in line is conceptual space. Conceptual space is postulated abstract continuum, defined primarily by mathematics and physics, that accounts for the locations and relations of physical objects. If you've ever been to a math class or physics class, you know what I'm talking about. This is something abstract, the relation between points in space or a plane or somewhere abstract. You have to know that when we are talking about psychological space, this is not the space that we are discussing. But the thing about perceptual and conceptual space is that they are objective. It's really easy to objectively define them. And because it's easy to objectively define them and to measure them, they are generally thought to comprise all that space really is. They are the only thing that space is. Well, really. But is that true? Do you agree with that? Does objective means real, or does real only means what can be objectified? So for some objective reason unknown to me personally, in full screen mode you couldn't see this GIF right over here. This is Felix Baumgarten free falling from outer space. This is his little spaceship, and he is free falling, free diving from outer space to Earth. Can you imagine that? Free falling from outer space, through space, feeling all these emotions, reaching to Earth. This is not something objective. You can't give a quantity. You can measure this feeling inside, right? But it is nonetheless real. And you want to know my personal, subjective feeling? That this feeling, this inner feeling, is much more real than these distances that you can measure mathematically speaking. It just feels more real. It is real because this is our experience. This is how we experience space. This is what I want to talk to you about. This is psychological space. Now we're going to distinguish between certain types of psychological space. Let's take it one step at a time. Our first step of free falling through a psychological space is what we want to call lived space. For us, space cannot be reduced to geometric relations, relations which we establish as if reduced to the simple role of curious spectators or scientists. We were outside space. Guys, we are in space. We live and act in space, and our personal lives, as well as the social life of humanity, unfolds in space. Life spreads out in space without having a geometric extension in the proper sense of the word. We have need of expansion, of perspective in order to live. Space is as indispensable as time to the development of life. Just think of personal space, of someone pinching your cheek, touching you on the subway, close talking to you when you can smell the breath. They are intruding to your personal space, right? We live in space. We define our limits, our boundaries in it. We need space to interact with each other. Take a look at this picture of this woman jumping a hurdle underwater. Isn't that cool? This relation between them is happening in space. We live, we interact in space. We are not spectators. We don't just measure things from the outside. We are in it. We are part of it. And as part of inner space, as part of space, we feel it. There is a feeling of space. The term lived space emphasizes the dynamic, sentient quality of psychological space. It refers to a living, pre-articulated feeling of space. From the moment we are born, we feel the things around us. We feel the space around us, as though we were wrapped in it. So for lived space, we want to distinguish three types of lived space. One is feeling space, this quality of feeling the environment. Next, we're going to talk about oriented space, that we experience bodily, how we orient ourselves in our surroundings. And the last is open space. This is the essential quality of awareness itself. This is by far the hardest concept that we're going to discuss today. This is the reason we are saving it to be the last. We need to free fall just a little bit more till we can get to this mind-blowing, earth-shaking concept that we are open space. We are space itself. Our awareness, our consciousness is space. It's a different kind of space. It is open space.